food.
Yes.
So I knew that, nah, this is not worth it. The money was not worth it to be there. So it was quickly that I left all that. But before that, I think the modeling helped me to get into the flying, air hostess. If you don't want to take this data, I'll take it. I don't know anything about finance data, but I'll take it. And you're going to increase my salary because I'm taking additional responsibility.
Okay.
And he said, okay, if that's who, I'll take it, Vanessa.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the second podcast. Today, I introduce you Vanessa Eriksson. She is an outspoken leader in the data science arena. She talks about data governance, and she is a chief digital officer at Zensact. Zensact is a car software making company. They focus on autonomous driving for cars. They have a huge data to handle, and it's really tricky. But let's not get into the tech for now. Let's see the journey of Vanessa, how she has picked up different careers in her life, and then what those elements of experiences helped her to be what she is today. She is an influencer of the year in the artificial intelligence and data science, an outspoken leader for you. On this podcast, I had fun talking with her, a lot of insights coming in like she was a model. I didn't know that until I spoke to her in this podcast. I'm your host, Vidyasagar. Enjoy the podcast. Welcome, Vanessa, on this podcast. And this is our third podcast on stories of fraud souls. And one of the most known person on the industry or in the industry. So we are very glad that you're here.
Thank you. What an honor to be here. I mean, when you sent me the text asking me, I thought, can it really be? Can somebody just really want to know about me? So thank you.
Okay.
Super grateful.
So how do you pronounce your name? Because I think I am calling it as Vanessa sometimes or Vanessa sometimes. So
Vanessa.
Vanessa.
Yeah.
Okay. So where did Vanessa start? I mean, how come, where the God brought Vanessa on earth?
Baikala in Bombay. And you hear that I'm an old timer. It's Bombay, not as Mumbai. Because when I left, it was in Bombay. And I like to remember it like that.
Okay. So you're born in Bombay?
Yes.
And
it's in Baikala.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how many years you were there?
I left soon after my 21st birthday. And I remember that because I had a nice big party.
Okay.
Yes. So it went on way into the night, and I remember Daddy screaming that it had to get over. So yes.
All 21 years old.
Yes. And then soon after my 21st birthday, I left, and I was in Dubai for 5 years.
Okay.
Yes. I worked at the Hilton, and I still remember Hilton. Vanessa speaking. How may I help you? Reservation. Yes.
Okay, Elizabeth, we're going to already 21 years, and you.
Okay. You want before that?
I want to know the reigns, the genesis where Vanessa was built.
So I went like most Indians. I went to a convent school.
Okay.
I'm a Catholic, and I was sent to a Catholic convent school. And so I remember. Want to hear a funny story?
Yeah,
because
of course.
I wanted to be the favored one in school. I was naughty. I was very naughty. So I actually went and told the principal, who was a nun, that I'm going to become a nun. Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately or fortunately, we lived just in the next street from the school. So the teacher, the nun, got my mom going one day to the bazaar, and she said, "I want you to know we're all praying for Vanessa because she's going to become a banana. And mom said, don't believe her.
And this was what age?
I don't know, 13, 14 something, or younger than that.
Naturally, to
Yes,
dream anything
yes.
and everything.
Yes, you just want to like be, I want to be the favorite one. Yeah. But it didn't work. Yes. So, yeah, I went to convent school. And then after that, I went to Casey's, Kishan Chan.
Okay.
And I did maths and stats for a while there. But yeah.
This was after your high school.
Yes.
Okay.
And yeah, there are some things that we wish we did differently. That is one chapter in my life I wish I did differently, because I started to model and I started to make so much money that I didn't want to study anymore. Okay. From my modeling. And so I got a bit distracted. Mm-hmm. And my father said, just go and get a certificate. Yeah? It's not allowed that you don't. So I did a correspondence course and I did economics and history, but which none of it I remember today, sadly. But that is something that I wish, because I realized you only realize much later that I had the brains. I just got sidetracked. I could have come back, but then, life happened and yeah.
Yeah. You talked about your dad. So yeah. I would like to park this discussion. This is really important because a lot of boys and girls do the same thing. Yeah. Even I have gone through some phases like that. So going back on what you said about dad, and you mentioned, I want to know, who was your inspiration or who were influencing? Like you said, nuns. Say, oh, you want to be the favorite. So they said, I want to go and become a nun. Yeah. But now, apart from that, in your personal life, after school, who were influencing your life and making...
My dad. Okay. My dad worked for Greenlace Bank for 25 years. And that was my inspiration. I wanted to become... That's why I went to Casey's and did maths. And my grades were fantastic. Until, boyfriends and other side attractions came along. Daddy was, yes, my hero.
Which era of years you're talking about? In 90s or?
Yeah, no, actually more in the 80s also.
80s, yeah. Okay. 80, some numbers. Because I think India was also changing a lot during that phase.
Yeah.
In many ways. So
yeah. No, sorry, I can't give you...
Okay, that's fine.
But I think that I was so... idolized my dad and wanted to be like him. And also, you as kids, you played mummy, daddy, mama, papa, bon, mom and dad. And my best friend at that time, she was always the mum and I was the dad, because the dad went to work and got money. And, you stay home and you cook. At that time, it was that model that we were used to, even though my mum was not a stay-at-home mom. I mean, she went to work full time, but I was so impressed with this figure that I wanted to be like him. Even reflected in my playtime. Yeah.
Yeah. So typical teen.
Yes. Yes.
I remember myself being this public bus transport guys. They were so nice. They would just stop for you nicely and do their driving and the mechanical stuff. I didn't know about the mechanical stuff, but I still liked what they were doing. Mm-hmm. So me and my brother would do the same thing. Oh yeah, this looks good. Yeah. And I think we were like 7 or 9 years of age. Yeah, and then we were imitating the same stuff, and we said, "Oh, we will become this." Okay,
that's fun years.
Yeah. Yeah. So you did your modeling, and I think that is a very good aspect of life that you just talked about. Because this is very important and being talked about a lot, that you should have an apprenticeship in some area that you like, or especially all the ones 50 plus, and you chose your own apprenticeship kind of a thing or a job, which you would have got some experience and insights of career and life. How was it that phase?
You mean my modeling? Yeah. It was quite by accident. I was actually quite the ugly duckling at home. Okay. I was teased constantly by my family. And and I think that when you are a kid and you grow up with that, whether it's your big ears or your big nose or whatever, family siblings are cruel, right? Mine are no exception. So I grew up with that constantly feeling like I wasn't pretty. It was just at a wedding that I got noticed by a photographer, and he asked me he would take my portfolio. And we didn't have money at that time it was like 10,000 rupees that he was asking that time.
10,000 bucks for do the
portfolio
thing.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's just pictures of you in different angles. So yeah. And he said he would do it for me for this amount. And my mom said, no, there is no money. My grandmother had just passed away, my dad's mom, and she left me 2 bangles.
Okay.
So I sold one of those bangles to get the money. And then I told him that I'm sorry, the photographer, I'm sorry, I don't have this much money. I have this much. And he said, I'll do it. So he took my pictures, and I ended up on the cover of Femina magazine in India.
Okay.
Because there was another Vanessa. I was Vanessa Vaz at that time. And there was another Vanessa Vaz. And she was a top model in India at that time. So everybody thought I was the same. And apparently we looked the same, except she had curly hair and I had straight hair. So it was causing a lot of confusion in the fashion, in the model industry at that time. So that's why I got to the cover, which was just helped me, because then I got a lot of catwalk assignments and everything.
Yeah. So and the assignments kept coming.
The assignments kept coming, but that is something that I think that every little girl, you either want to be a flying, an air hostess, or you want to be a model. And I had the good fortune of testing both. So I was an air hostess as well. But in the model industry, there was I knew very quickly, this is not for me. Because the amount of, if I may say, bitchiness was overwhelming. I had one girl tell me, I'm prettier than you, I don't know why you're on the cover. And for a while, it kind of hits you like, why are you saying this? Because that is pretty rude.
Yes.
So I knew that, this is not worth it. The money was not worth it to be there. So it was quickly that I left all that. But before that, I think the modeling helped me to get into the flying, air hostess. Another very good, you want to taste, you want to just check, is this for me? And leave if it's not. So I went into it was East West Airlines. They don't exist. It was domestic. But it was fantastic. It was a fantastic experience, because it's the glamour and the glitz. You have your high heel shoes, you got your bags, and you see everybody checking you out at the airport. I mean, the feeling is so high. And then when you're in there, you're just I am a.
Yeah.
It's just amazing,
And at the same time, travel for free.
Yes, yeah. That's what my mom, she's like, can you give me a free ticket? I'll buy you a ticket, But I mean, I remember once some of the things that happened, the airlines were always delayed. So I had people waiting at the airport for 4 hours and then coming on the flight. And mine was like, would you like a newspaper? Or would you like some candy? And once I remember, I said, would you like to read the newspaper? And he said, I read it back to front for 4 hours. I will tell you what's in the paper. I said, well, okay. Next person, would you like to listen?
And so, this is the era when there were no phones.
No, exactly. Yes.
No, not even the calling ones. It's just the landlines.
But that was such an experience. And I think the turning point was when, we had cleared out the whole aircraft, and cleared the whole place. And then somebody said, bling, bling, can I have a cup of tea? So I said, yeah, sure. So I went back to make him a cup of tea, and I came back, and the guy at the side said, can I also have a cup of tea? And I was so close to say, why didn't you say it in the first place? I couldn't. And that's when I just realized, okay, maybe not for you. you know,
I actually, honestly, I love that job. The responsibility that comes in.
yes.
When people talk about the aesthetics part, or it looks nice and they're really humble and stuff, but to keep yourself humble and soft and be nice, even at the face that like you said, the roughness.
Yeah.
You have to be the same all the time, irrespective of what you're going to inside.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, you're also trained to look after the safety of the
Yes.
passengers.
Yes.
With the smile.
Yes.
And you're on the constant thoughts in your mind. Okay, next thing will be there will be a turbulence, or I have to put it at the bed, or there will be some emergency landing and stuff like that. So I have really good respect for that job, because the other people that I know who do the same job are police and the military people, and they never smile to do when they're doing their job. That's the only job.
That's true. Yes.
Okay, so but then the responsibility already started coming on you, or with that as a job?
Yes, but I also realized that this is not me. And I think that is also what kids need to know today, that if it's not, don't waste your time. Because, there's so many other things, and it's hard to pick what do I want to do.
Oh, yeah. Julia was there for the first podcast, and she mentioned the same exact thing. The reason she's so early on a group manager is she decided, okay, the first thing is to realize this is not for me, which is something like many of us get stuck. Even I got stuck in many places, and I didn't move. So this is really good. Please go on. So what?
Yeah, so then I left and I went to Dubai. A cousin of mine was there and he and we together. And I got into Hilton. I stayed there for a year because it was also, as an Indian, you come there, you don't have any experience. It's your first job abroad. So you just take the minimum. And it is a few years that you struggle like that.
You mean you don't understand your labor rights and you just accept because it's a job?
Yes, but also, they ask you, do you have any UAE or UAE experience?
Yeah.
And no, I don't. I mean, it's the first time I'm abroad. So you just then it's like the minimum, whatever you need to just get you through. Yeah. And that's what I did.
That's the cost you're paying for to start on in that.
Yes, or also move away from home, right? If you want to, because nothing. I mean, it's a difficult life.
Yeah.
So I stayed there, and then I moved from there to British Airways for a little while, and then I ended up with ABB. And that's where I also met my husband.
ABB, where?
ABB had an executive office in Dubai. It was the vice president. It was just like some of the vice presidents that were in that office, and I was there as well. And it was just I was just admin in there for all of them.
I'm guessing with the time that you're explaining, this was the era when Dubai was building heavily at that time, and that's why ABB was also there.
Yes. So, and that was a really good time. But yeah, that's where I met my husband.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I knew that I was going to marry him when I saw him. He didn't know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was instant. Yes. This is the guy.
Yes. So I thank goodness, because those days there was no GDPR, and thank God for that. But I had a copy of his passport. And I wrote with a pencil that this is the man I'm going to marry. And I see, because there was no email, was just coming out then. Yeah. And I mailed it to my mom, who still has that with her. And I told her that, this is who I'm going to marry. So, yes. And it's then, we've celebrated 26 years last month. So it's still going strong. I was right,
So after Dubai, how come you were in Sweden?
Yes. So my husband, Per, said he was missing nature. For someone like you and me.
In Dubai.
Yes. missing nature in Dubai. And I'm thinking, if you come from India with a concrete jungle, first you are, what is the meaning of nature? I live right next to the gardens, park, but you never thought about it as nature. It's just life, there's a garden here. So we came to India, we got married and we went back. And then when he started to say that he was missing nature, I decided to, okay, let's leave now. Just, it's just the allergies. First I took him out to the main road, and I said, you got palm trees in Dubai, and I said, that's nature. But he wanted more. And today I understand what he meant. But at that time, I just could not get what you mean. The first year in Dubai, when I was at Hilton, I was pretty miserable. I cried a lot. And it's the first time I was away from my family. And there was no WhatsApp or anything. So you had to pay for every call home.
Yeah, it was super expensive.
Super expensive. So I was really miserable. So, when Per wanted to move, I thought, let's do it now. Because getting older and moving, it's not any easier.
Yeah.
So that's why we moved. 97.
Okay. You want me to get a tissue for you?
No, it's just, yeah.
Okay.
It's okay.
Okay. So, Hilton, you did some years there, or 1 year?
1 year.
1 year. And then you guys moved back to Sweden with your husband.
Yes.
And again, it came to the fresh start with the career again.
Yes.
But did you start right away when you came back, or how was it?
Yes. So my husband was still at ABB, and ABB's town is Västerås. So we moved to Västerås, and coming from India and coming from Dubai, where there's so many people, and we moved in October, it hit me. It really hit me. Both the weather and the people. And I thought, like, where is everybody? In October, and there's nobody on the roads. And the next shock that I had was because there were clouds. It was a cloudy sky. So I thought, it's going to rain. But no, there was no rain came. And like for 2 weeks or 3, no sun came. And it was almost like a panic attack that I was having, because I thought, can it really be like this?
You want to remove your blanket?
Yes.
In the bed, you wanted to remove the whole clouds away?
Yes.
Always.
Yes. Because, if you come from India, you don't even think about it. And the clouds, it's a happy sign, because the rains are going to come.
Yeah.
So it's, that was a really bad time. Okay. And we stayed there for 2 months. And then it was one day that I was going to have dinner with my husband in Central Station in Stockholm. And I was there at around 6 o'clock in the evening, and the whole people, everybody was running on the opposite direction, and I was going, and he says, I wanted to just stand there with everybody, like, please, this is where I want to be.
Now you're giving me the vibe, like when you get this fresh air in the hot summer, you're just taking that as a people.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, people, come on to me. Oh God.
But if you're used to just having people all around you, to suddenly not have anybody it's quite a shock.
I can relate to you. Yeah. I had the same experience in Slovakia. I was in this small town, and I was there, and I came from work. I went for a few months there, and then I cooked my stuff, because you don't find your Indian food that's a little bit more specific to Indians, and we like to cook our food, because you can't eat pizzas every day or burgers. And I cooked it, and everything was fine. I could meet my cuisine needs, my urge to eat that food. But then when I sat down and I realized, okay, something is happening. Something doesn't fit. And and it was already December. It was snowing. I went out with my shorts directly on my flip flops on the street to find people. Okay, where is somebody? And then I found a beggar, a real beggar. I didn't expect a beggar in that situation. And he was like, "Please give me something." And he was making the face. I took out the 10 euros and gave it to him because I was still in the Indian currency mindset. I not unfiltered so much. And I gave away the 10 euros. And 10 euros is like very expensive money to give away to a beggar. But I was very happy that I had someone to meet and talk.
Yes, I can understand that. Yeah. So then so then I decided, okay, not staying in Westeros. I'm going to move to Stockholm and convince the husband, let's go. So we moved to Stockholm, and in a couple of months, I had my first job.
Which was this job?
Craft foods.
Aha. Okay. So what was your role there?
I just worked with the head of coffee, Gevalia. I don't know if you've seen the Swedish coffee, Gevalia.
Okay, I've not seen myself. Yeah.
So I worked for the vice president of coffee and the marketing. With the two of them, I was helping them.
So this was like 20 years ago you started?
25.
25. Okay. So then okay. So you continued there for how long?
No. That was just a temporary job because he was also on a contract. And then I got pregnant with my first daughter, Emily. So I left when I got pregnant, and he left also.
So then you were not working when you...
No. Sweden is different because then if you've been paying taxes for a certain amount of time, then you are entitled to money from the government.
The parental
yes, yeah.
And you don't need to work during that phase.
No, and you should not work because then you are home with your baby.
Yeah.
Because in Sweden, you do not have parents like this working with you. And I think the daycares only accept when they are 1 year or little less than 1 year. You don't have the babies like 3 months or whatever being brought to daycare.
What did motherhood change you? First child and
big time, because you have no clue, and I'm not going to worry you now about that because I know that you are waiting for your first one in a couple of weeks. All I'm going to say, it's a wonderful journey. Being a parent is just absolutely wonderful, and Sagar, you're gonna just enjoy it.
Thank you. So that phase gave you something, and then you again came back to careers. When how did you start back your?
When I was ready to go back, I found a job because I looked for a job and I found one at Eriksson. And then I went to Eriksson, and I was admin for a group of lawyers, at Eriksson, and it was really fun because it was contract work, so understanding and doing it, and that's when I got into the quality assurance also work. And then I left when I had my second daughter, Nia, and I think that time they were also. I don't know if I'm getting mixed up, but yes, I left.
So this was era when Ericsson was making these nice music pods or devices, or it was only military applications?
It was more networking.
Okay.
Yeah.
And because...
at least the area that I was.
You were, okay.
Yeah.
Because I think it was 90s is where Ericsson... Ericsson.
Yes. No, this was then 90s because then in 2000... on second daughter was born.
Okay. So you finished that stint and...
Yes, and then I left. And then when I was ready to come back, then I joined the Swedish Migration Board. Okay. So in between there, I went back when after I was ready to go back from our second daughter, I went back to Ericsson, but I got laid off, and that was the whole IT crash, the first IT crash in around 2000, that time. So I realized that okay, many people have lost their jobs because it was a room full of people that had lost their jobs. And, Ericsson was trying to help them with either support or how to, to go around finding what education you could get or things like that.
And this is backed by Swedish labor law.
Yes.
So I think those are one of the strongest in the world.
Is it?
I feel so, at least. I think Germany is one of them. The support system, even if you only know, there's a strong system and laws already in place.
Yes. So it was that time when I realized that, okay, I probably need to go study some Swedish, because when I came to Sweden, I did the usual SFI course. But again, you feel like a tourist, and you've got people from different countries in that classroom with you. So as soon as they say break, you go into your little breakout sessions and you speak your own language, or you speak English with people you know.
So for the listeners, because there will be listeners beyond Sweden, SFI is the Institute for Learning
Swedish.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So if we do a little bit of reflection, so you started with modeling.
Yeah.
You learned something about it. You learned to take a call that to understand this is not for me. But you learned something.
Yes. And I think that what was more important there was that, because as a kid, or
8-year-old.
Yes.
Yeah.
You still have to understand that the money was so good, because maybe in today's world that money would be nothing, but living with your parents, because we did that still, that was a lot of money coming in. But being smart enough to know the money is not worth it, because I don't want to do this.
That was like your heart calling you, and you're following your heart.
Yes.
And that's when you ended up Dubai and your future husband.
Yes.
Okay. And then that, I know, oh, sorry, I forgot your stint with the airlines as a hostess. And that also gave you some insights of the careers.
Yes. Because all the glamour and everything was maybe not so glamorous. I mean, I appreciate what you say, because yes, you have to do the fire training, you have to do in case of emergency. If you're going to land, how do you get everybody? You have to do that, the CPR training and everything as a flight attendant. So yes, of course, that part is definitely very strong, because you feel responsible for all these people on the flight.
Okay. And then the chain of events of coming to Dubai and meeting the love of your life.
Yes.
And then that love made you to come to Sweden.
Yes.
Because he was missing something.
Yes.
And then you tried to accustom with the Swedish life, with language, and then started some jobs. And it was a beautiful journey that you had. Now, how come you ended up, you worked for some time with Eriksson on the lawyer's side.
Yeah.
Then you were also in the legal side more after that, after a few years. How come that happened?
The contract side.
Yeah, I mean, after Eriksson, you met which other?
So I went to the Swedish Migration Board.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Swedish Migration, yes. Yes. So I studied, because I went back and I studied, since I realized that if you want a job, there are so many people that are looking for jobs. What is your edge if you cannot keep up? So I thought, okay, need to go fix the Swedish part. So I went and I did intensive course at Folk University. Just studied it, and passed the test. But I think I applied for the Swedish Migration Board because I wanted. Now I'd been in craft, which is English is a corporate language. I'd been in Ericsson. I wanted to be forced in a Swedish environment and see what it feels like.
And the Migration Board is
Swedish.
No. I mean,
the Swedish Migration Board is a government where everybody's seeking asylum. Okay. Visas, everything. It's the Swedish Migration Board.
Okay, they are the. I mean, this is for the listeners. I'm living in Sweden.
Yeah. That's the authority.
So you are one of the case officers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
My application.
Yes. Yes. And that's what, so every time you took a lunch break or something, there were people putting their dossier numbers in your hand, their file numbers, to like, please, can you just tell me what's happening?
This was physical those days, all the
Yes,
applications.
yes.
Okay.
And then also people seeking asylum. So that's what I did for 3 years. And then because, then you actually start to think, I remember driving home and thinking, jag måste köpa mjölk. And I thought, stop it, because I still want to be in control, and I was not ready for the Swedish to be entering into my way of thinking. I still want to be my own person. But then after 3 years, I decided, okay, now I got enough of Swedish, so let's go to the next. But I think it was also interesting. I got a letter from the Swedish migration authorities. It's a very formal body. So I got a letter home saying that there were 600 and something people applied, and we only need 15 people. The interview was 3 hours long. Yeah. All in Swedish. And I think at the end of that process, I was pretty exhausted in my mind. Because, I was taking every English statement, and translating it.
I just remember one of the famous television actresses from US. She's Spanish. I'm just not able to recollect the ladies. She has a meme about the exact thing. I'm smart in Spanish. It's just that I take time to translate. So don't believe that I'm dumb. Gauri or so, I don't remember now. Dori, I think that's the name.
Okay.
So it's this exact thing that you're explaining.
Yeah, because you do that, until you get some level of fluency. Yeah.
Your way of thinking is English, and then
Yes.
Yeah. So then you were able to unfilter that for the next few years, or it's still the same?
No. That's fine now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And after that, what happened?
Yes. What happened after that? I went back to Eriksson.
Okay.
And then I was there. That's when my whole career kicked off.
Okay. The mainstream.
The mainstream, because I came in as an admin in another department, and I was really unhappy. And I just made friends with somebody else, and she said, you should come and meet this person. So I went there, and they needed help in the master data office.
Networking.
Global master data. Yes, networking. Yes.
And did the networking and you found data. Okay.
So I went to meet her, and I told her that I'm sorry, I don't know what this is that you want me to do. And she said, it's okay, you can learn. So it was just a situation where I was being bullied by somebody else. So these 2 ladies felt just sorry for me and just took me in to look after me, kind of. So that was my big break. I think there is a God sometimes.
Okay. But you're talking about data, but at the same time, I'm just contemplating that you also work with migration board of Sweden. That means you're handling already data.
Yes, but not in the same way.
Oh, not in that sense, but you're processing something.
Yes.
But you had some feeling of something, yeah. Okay.
But this was SAP.
Okay.
This was systems, Yes. So it was like, I learned it so quickly, and I was enjoying it, because so I would leave my kids. I would start work at 6 o'clock in the morning and end at 3, so that I could go pick up my daughters from daycare, and my husband would drop them. So did this juggling, but I was so happy, and we had customer, vendor, and finance master data, and I was able to learn all 3 systems, because you had different teams. So I was also sent to the Philippines to help them with recruiting and training of new staff in the office there in Manila.
Okay, so you're now scaling fast in your career now. You're learning every aspect of the business.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was a super break.
Okay, so you were already in leadership role by then when you went to Philippines.
Yes, in a way. But I think over here also, when I was at Eriksson, I got the chance to be a team lead. My first, of just a small group. But yes, it was the start.
Okay. And you spent how many years you spent there?
Oh, I think it was only 2 years actually, because so it was really quick understanding that, this is what I like. This is what I, like finally finding your like, here is it. This is it.
Okay.
And because then from Ericsson, I just moved over to Sony Ericsson. And that's where it also really kicked off. I was responsible for 27 sites all over the world. So my job was to work with the business analyst, analyze the data coming in, look at the factories that are producing. Are the numbers the same? What is different? Like, are there discrepancies? Is it the BI? Where's the data node? Where's it getting stuck? Or is it, and then also do implementation of new factories. So go there with the team and do the whole implementing them into the Sony Ericsson systems.
Okay. So when you said factories, what was the product back then? Phones. Okay. The famous phones.
Famous phones. Yeah.
I feel they go back and start again. The model was so good.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, totally. Yes. Totally. So yes, that is what I did for the next couple of years as well. And that was a lot of traveling all over the world, including Chennai.
Oh, so and how many years you worked on this area again?
No, I never stayed more than, I think, a couple of years every place.
Okay, but it was intense learning and
yes. Sony Ericsson actually decided to close down their offices in Stockholm.
Yeah, I mean, I think the scaling down went down a lot.
Yes.
After that,
yes.
Sometime that. Okay, and what is the after this? I mean, before Ericsson and now after this two stints.
Yes.
And what that Vanessa and this Vanessa, what was going on? What was the big changes now?
I think just understanding that this is what I like, data, because that's when I first came in contact with data and the way that we understand it today. About systems, IT systems, that I knew that, wow, this is really cool. This is really fun, because then also some of the backend systems on this kind of doing the drill down to understand what exactly is wrong, I just loved it. I really found my place.
So that was the foundation for today's data thing that you got into.
Yes.
And back then, but it was still on paper, or just still already computers were there? And
no, computers were. Yes. I mean, so this was on the whole SAP system.
Oh,
yeah. The master data system. Yeah.
And then from there on, you picked up this data analyzing skills and understand.
Yes, I think it is just, it has been a slow progression, but also understanding, because then it was more than data governance, and there I stayed 8 years with Telia, building that up, and working with Gartner, because so I think that it has been a very gradual.
What do you mean by data governance? I mean, not many people know about it. Please elaborate a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. So I can give you an example that I gave my CFO many years ago, because he said, what is this? And I went to him with finance data, right? And on an executive level, you want to know, so product data, guys, they should go to the chief product officer, or the finance goals, and the people data should go to the people, the HR vice president, right? On an executive level. And then when you drill down into the data, you will see, okay, customer name, customer. Then you have elements of entities that you can then assign different data stewards. So I went to the finance because I wanted the executive ownership of the finance data. And he said, nope. And I was pretty fed up at that time. So I told him, okay. After I made my speech, and he said, no. So I said to him, that's fine. If you don't want to take this data, I'll take it. I don't know anything about finance data, but I'll take it. And you're going to increase my salary because I'm taking additional responsibility.
Okay.
And he said, okay, if that's what, I'll take it, Vanessa.
Oh, that is really good. You first of all, you defined a problem.
Yeah.
You showed the problem what it is.
Yeah.
And you found that nobody in the room didn't know, and they are very expensive.
Yes.
Very clearly.
Yes.
Okay, we don't know that. And then you took the opportunity. Yes, I will take it. But then it comes with a cost.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So,
That was really smart. I mean, yeah.
I mean, you have to help them. And I remember to another leader in Atelier, because he, again, didn't understand what do you mean by ownership of data? What data? So I said, in those days, the computers had the big box down, right? So I said, let's see if I take this box and I'm putting it on the table. And, one is all the stuff, all the data, whatever's in that box. I will take the data and put it outside here. And the empty box is here. The box belongs to IT.
Okay.
Right? That's an IT thing.
Yeah.
The data, I need to figure out. So in this data, I have people data, go to the people person, So I tried to explain, calm down, because just because you're on the executive level doesn't mean I understand everything. Yeah. Help the organization come down to your lowest level of explanation and help them to get on the same page with you.
There is something very interesting thing you mentioned here. One is about how you are trying to handle the situation, which is very new to yourself and everyone around you. At the same time, there is one of the aspects, and I think it has been it is a work, at the same time a challenge for every generation of new leaders who come in, or new engineers or associates who come up. And they have this niche of knowing the latest stuff.
Yes.
But then people who are there to approve it, they are from the previous generation who has seen the niches from the past. Yeah. And their niches have become outdated in some way.
Yeah.
Other than their experiences, how things work and roll and stuff like that. And there is always this tussle between these two generations.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike, see, this is how it should be, and this is something gonna be really good and important for us. And but then Mike says, "Oh, this is new stuff. I don't think so. It will make so much." Like they said about the computers. They talked about the internet and social media. The initial resistance, and this you worked on very hard, and you came up with ideas on how to. I mean, you talked about an element, like for example, you showed the problem.
Yes.
And then make them explain that this is definitely we need to do. And they learned it. Was this a continuous cycle for you every time? Because
yes,
data was becoming big, and I'm guessing it is around 2010 to 15, or was it before that? This timing of this data analysis that you started?
Around 2015, 2017, because that's so... I tell you what the challenge was. We had a big problem. So the iPhone 5 came out, and we had, Sweden, Denmark, Norway, everybody got the emails from Apple with the description and the color and, the data about the Apple phone. And so everybody got the same mail, and they had to put it, because they had all isolated systems. So everybody had to go in and put in your own data. And then our CFO was waiting to see the figures, how much revenue came in. And so imagine that there was total chaos, because they could not capture it correctly. There was no consolidation, because every country got the same email, but all the figures in the system were completely different. And that is also when you talk about data governance, how can we all have the same rules for capturing the data? Because one just said, I don't put in any data here. These are all default values. Somebody said, I was going to go for lunch and going to come back and fix it. And in the meantime, where he was waiting, you captured a screenshot of all these different countries, and they all look different.
Yeah. Okay. That's a really good way of putting together the data government. And so you were trying to identify the problems, and then your leadership was also feeling the problem that this is yes, something we are not doesn't make sense.
Yes.
And who has got the solution? And you were right there that time. And I think 2015-16 was also the time when most of the world was already recognizing data science already.
Yes. I mean the value, because I think that time you were going with the big BIX systems. I remember we had so many people in the office just, sitting down and working on this big BI platform.
Okay.
Because I think after that, then you had the data lakes, and it had not come. The data lake had not come yet at that time.
Okay. So now we have laid a foundation for our next part 2 podcast. We have to stop here because of the time restriction now. But as I said, it will be definitely part 2. As a lot to talk about the data science and how it is working, and especially the governance. I have some questions to you about that, because you're working now at Enthusiast. And autonomous is now no more a fancy thing.
No.
It is gonna come. It is there, almost there. It's just a couple of years here and there for many companies. There's a lot to discuss around that space in general for the industry.
Yeah.
But until then, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. And we'll find some time for part 2 soon.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. That was all for today's podcast. We could cover only until here because of the time constraint that we had. But Vanessa will be back for the second podcast, where she will cover her journey through data science and being the leader and talking about data governance even more. She will also talk about her initiatives, where she is a founder for Girls in Tech, and much more to come. Until then, you guys let us know, how do you feel about this podcast? Did you find some insights from this conversation that we had today? Did it help you understand some of the complex issues that you are facing through right now? And if you have any feedbacks, just let us know those as well. We have LinkedIn pages, posts, YouTube channels, everywhere we are available to receive your comments and feedbacks for this podcast. If you're wishing to have somebody specific as a guest on this podcast, let us know. We will definitely try to bring them on this podcast. Until then, I will leave you with a teaser for the next podcast. He was destined to be an engineer since childhood. He went straight to an electric socket as a child and put his 2 fingers, both positive and negative, to experience 230 volts. How crazy is that? And there is huge suspense story that to his teenage years also. And now he is CEO of one of the re-owned automotive companies. And it is very inspiring story, and I had fun talking with him. Watch out for the third podcast that we will have very soon. Stay tuned on Stories of Prod Souls. I am Vidyasagar. Bye.